Hello, everyone. Welcome, one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Believe in Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Van Cielo.
Cody, it has been all the hype on all the Iowa State shows this week. We are talking about the 2025 football schedule, and not to mention, Cody, we are officially 100 days away from Farmageddon. How you feeling?
That's honestly amazing. Like time has flown by since the last football season. I mean, I saw the promo video for the Ireland game earlier today, and I mean, I caught a glimpse because I think it was during the whiteout. They did a promo right next to where I was sitting for the Ireland game. So I caught myself in a bit of a cameo. But yeah, time has really flown by. Like just like what just it felt like just yesterday where Iowa State was in the Big 12 title game and had gone on to the Pop Tarts Bowl. So, but now we're looking forward to a new season, looking to continue the success that the Cyclones achieved last year and look to be one of the top contenders in the Big 12.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if they can finish off last year's finish. And hey, I mean, you really are going to be cooking as a and legitimize your program if you come back out and win another jeez, another round of double digit games. And if you make a playoff appearance, man, you thought that the talk for Matt Campbell leaving was bad this year. Just wait till next offseason. But with that, we are going to go right now, and we're going to go through each game, game by game, in the 2025 schedule. I'm going to share my screen.
Let's see here, yeah. Let's see here. Yep, just all the talks. Yeah, I've got. I'm gonna look to have it pulled up here, but I mean, okay. So I guess Tyler, I don't know if you're too familiar with like what today is like signified. Uh, So it's like the Central Iowa fan base likes to do. So before we talk about the schedule, just need to give a quick shout out to like 515 Day because that's something that's like significant to the Central Iowa community, and it being May 15th. Got the area code, so it's just a good day for Central Iowa to celebrate. And I mean, what better way to do it than like now that basically finals are done for everybody at Iowa State, they can go party and yeah.
Is that just like a Des Moines thing, or not a Des Moines thing, but like just a Central Iowa thing where everybody just celebrates the zip code?
I think it's specifically the area code. It's specifically the area code. Like anybody that lives in the area code. The whole state of Iowa will celebrate it to an extent, but the main celebrations are usually to those who like live in the area code. It's just
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just something cool to talk about.
Nice. No, that's actually a pretty fun fact. I did not know that.
Yeah,
So thank you for the
yeah,
Central Iowa facts with Cody. We
yeah,
might have to.
and then if you saw the post, I saw like so they did like the helmet. It was the chromes, like it looked like chrome because they had the reflection of the campanile. And I saw somebody said, imagine we brought back the chrome helmet, the chrome domes with the script cyclones.
Ooh, okay, man. Don't tempt me, man. That would be fire. That would be fire, bro. I'm
For
not gonna
sure,
cut.
for sure.
Like, what were
All
you gonna
right.
say?
Yeah, I think that's just all I need to just drop that real quick, and let's just get on to the schedule here.
Yeah. So I believe it was either yesterday or on Tuesday they announced the game time for the week zero game against the Farmageddon game against K State.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone who is going to be who is going to be stateside, it's going to be at 11 a.m. on ESPN. For everyone who is going to the game, like me, I'm actually buying my plane ticket tonight, so I'm so excited, bro. I'm so pumped to go to Ireland. The game is going to be at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Ireland time, Dublin time. So we're gonna have a nice evening game. So
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun, man. What are your thoughts going into K State?
I think the K State game is gonna definitely tell you like it's gonna set the tone for both teams, both Kansas State and Iowa State, because you're looking at an early conference game, and it's an early indicator of like if these two teams are like going to be at the end of the season, like competing for a spot in Arlington, because I saw the wins total. I don't remember exactly where, but the Big 12 win totals came out, and Kansas State, Arizona State, and Texas Tech were the three teams that were in the 8.5 like over under range, and then Iowa State's in the tier with BYU and a few other teams at the 7.5 over under. So this is going to be what I'm expecting to be an early game for conference positioning.
Yeah, no, and more than ever, man. Like especially starting off with week 0 with the conference games, the stakes have never been higher. And usually, with these games, like maybe in previous eras of Iowa State football and early under Matt Campbell, these are the games that I would be absolutely worried about. But hey, maybe we'll see something different.
Yeah.
Because usually when we face off against FCS teams, we play it very very close to the chest and don't want to show anything. But it's different now. You're playing your number one rival. And this is a team that you have actually been pretty good against. I believe we've won 5 out of the last seven
Yeah.
matchups against the Wildcats. So I mean, if you want to continue that, like I like K State. K State is desperate for a win in this series, man. Like if I know anything about their fans on Twitter, they it is killing them that they have a losing streak to Iowa State.
Yeah, and I mean that just shows like I remember 5-7. Matt Campbell has had the edge over Chris Kleiman since both of them have met in Farmageddon. So Campbell took over because Campbell was like he had the win over Bill Snyder to retire Bill Snyder in his second run at Kansas State, and then you bring in Chris Kleiman, and Matt Campbell has had Chris Kleiman's number the majority of this the series between the two coaches. So I think that bodes well for Matt Campbell, but I think it also is a chip for Chris Kleiman to finally get over that hump of losing to Matt Campbell and Iowa State. Was it 2 years in a row now? But then at the same time, if you look at the side for Matt Campbell and Iowa State, you can't you can't hold anything back. Your playbook's going to be out, so you might as well. You're playing your old rival, so it's like you got to throw it all out there. And yes, other teams are going to see it, but everybody's going to see it eventually. So why not just do it now? Why not make a statement to the season to show that last year was not a fraudulent season?
Definitely, because you already know that like people are gonna be like, oh, remember the last time that you guys came off of a really good season? What happened then? Like everybody's gonna be referring to 2021, even though these teams are not similar in any type of way. Like I guess what what are things what are like 3 things or 2 things that you're gonna be looking for in this game?
Number one is I gotta see how the defensive line matches up against the offensive line of Kansas State. We need to see if we can get pressure on Avery Johnson and not let Avery Johnson just sit in the pocket, being comfortable, being able to dissect the zone defense or whatever defense that John Haycock is put onto the field. And second, I would love to see the team continue to be aggressive offensively. I love seeing what Taylor Mauser brought to the table last year. And I mean, with your interview with Mauser a few weeks ago, I think it's very promising. And I think they want to continue pushing the envelope, what they can do offensively. So that way you keep defenses on their toes and just to overall use the talent that we have. Now, granted, we lost our 2 best wide receivers in Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, but if we can get Xavier Townsend and Chase Sowell going early, it's going to establish them as threats early on. So that way teams aren't sleeping on Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean, those are my number one. My key for me is defensively. How is the defensive line going to go get pressure? Are they going to use Zach Lovett in this game specifically as a spy? Because I think they will, especially with Avery's running ability. Like look for Kansas State to run the ball. They had a lot of success running the ball, and they probably would have ran it a lot more if they would have had a lead. So hopefully that's something that we see and that improves. Another thing I'm wondering is because we heard last year of maybe possibly them running a 4-2-5, and now with Caleb Bacon extremely healthy, I I wonder if that's going to be a wrinkle that we see this year, with him coming off the edge and stuff, and having a four down lineman on the line, and that maybe using one of those linebackers as an extra rusher.
Yeah, I think just having to hear I think what you can do, yeah, you can bring Caleb Bacon down. I think you might even be able to you can so then you can have your linebacking core. Obviously, bring Bacon down to the line to have a 4-man front, and then your linebacking room. I mean, you're looking at was it Carson Willis coming back,
Yep.
Will McLaughlin, and then Kale Brazina, and then I
Yeah,
think
man.
and then who else are we bringing back? I
And
think
then you have
Cooper Evil is another one that we're bringing
Cooper
back.
Evil is coming back, like that, and then and then you have Bo Goodwin who had some time. You had number 41. What's his name?
Yeah.
Um,
Cooper Alexander,
no, the linebacker.
the
He
linebacker.
played. Oh, Rylan Barnes.
Oh, Rylan Barnes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Barnes Farm. Yeah.
yeah, Barnes Farm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so like now you actually have depth at that position.
Yeah.
So now, like Lord willing, let's hope that we don't get decimated. I think that's
Again.
again, yeah, that would suck. I think we should be due
Yeah.
for a good season. But yeah,
Yeah.
man. And then the second thing, like you said, we have
Mm-hmm.
basically had the same two things. I think, yeah, I think it's going to be more than ever. It's going to be interesting. Because a lot of people think that we're going to take a step back with not having Jalen and Jaden anymore. I don't think it will be that much of a step back. I think Rocco this year, more than ever, I think obviously one thing we said that he had to improve on is his accuracy. Um, so like start and just starting off and having that chemistry with Xavier Townsend and Chase Soul, and then
Mm-hmm.
and a good thing with having a healthy Ben Bramer back is you're going to be able to throw it to him on third downs. Gabe Burkle was a guy that emerged at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, halfway through the year, and he ended up having a great season. So I
Yeah.
mean, that receivers in that tight end room, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I think the injuries, they sucked last year, but they're kind of like a blessing in disguise because it's
Oh yeah,
now you had a bunch of guys that you didn't expect to get reps, got reps. And with the way the season went, they did their job. And I mean, they got us a great season. So now it's going to push, not just the guys coming back, but also the ones who did play. It's going to push them to be better. So I think it's good for us in the long, it was a blessing in disguise for the long term because now you're having competition in the in the running back room, the linebacking room, the receiver room, the tight end room. So that's going to just foster a healthy competition. I think that's just going to make Iowa State a dangerous team. So, but I can see why maybe on paper that it could be worrying that we may not be able to recover, reproduce what we did with Nolan Higgins. But we don't necessarily need that. We don't need a carbon copy. We just need
exactly.
different. Yeah, we just need guys to contribute in different ways, and maybe that's either continuing to get that offensive production, or maybe get the running production up even higher. So I think running took a bit of a step back. Obviously, Albo
Yeah,
Sama having bit of a sophomore slump, but in Wake, you had Carson Hansen step up, so now you have that, which was good. So there was a lot of healthy competition. Now I think it's going to be happening in camp, and ultimately I think it's going to be for the better of Iowa State.
yeah, and usually I think, and then you referred back to the Mauser interview. He was saying, especially in certain years where they know that there's a certain part of the offense or a certain position that's strong, that's usually where they lean towards. Like when Purdy was there, they leaned more towards the tight ends. So you saw that's why you saw a lot of 13 personnel. So
Mm-hmm.
like, and then you see, and I mean that's why you saw like Jalen and Jaden have 1,000 yard seasons because you're not just gonna run the ball for the sake of running the ball. You throw it to where your strength. You're gonna run. Your offense is gonna be catered to what your strength is.
Yeah.
So like, it's gonna be interesting. So we're not gonna do prediction now. We're not gonna do predictions now. We're gonna probably we're not gonna do our prediction episode for like another 2 months. So it's
Yeah.
just a little bit of talk. Um, South Dakota. We're gonna move on to that game. I really don't think that this would be a challenge for the Cyclones. The only way, like everyone's nerves are going to be out of whack, especially if we lose this game against South Dakota. Now, I will say that this is a game that Iowa State has to show up, because this is a game where you can't just come in and expect to win. You got to give it your all and just never give South Dakota any type of hope.
Hmm. Yeah, I think if you're Iowa State, you just need to like put your foot down, like put your foot in the gas pedal, and you just go. You don't give South Dakota State a chance in this game. Now, I think it's because like I think the in previous years because like obviously you didn't have like what we had with Kansas State in week 0. Iowa State was able to just like be a little bit more conservative, but with Kansas State coming up, I think that's going to be a little bit different. The South Dakota State game is going to be or South Dakota game, excuse me, it's going to be a little different because your playbook's already going to be pretty much out. So it's like, well, everybody knows our stuff. Let's see if we can stop it.
Exactly. Let's see if we can stop it. I don't really have anything about this game. So we can move on to Cyhawk, Iowa. Now, obviously, Iowa in this game, it's been argued in some of the other podcasts I've listened to that who is really at an advantage here. There are people who are saying that it's Iowa because Iowa State will already have played for 2 weeks. But the thing is that for Iowa State, this is not going to be their first test because their first test will have been 2 weeks prior with K State. So they're already going to come in. Iowa State's already going to come into this game battle tested. For Iowa, this is going to be their first shot at maybe legitimizing themselves as a top 25 team. And seeing what Granowski does, and I have no idea what they are at this position, and we'll see how they are defensively because defensively they took a step back.
Yeah, I think Iowa. Like, I mean, let's see. The main thing with Iowa last year was Caleb Johnson. I mean, you saw like he was running all over the Iowa State defense, like at Cyhawk and Kinnick last year. But I'm curious to see could Iowa be able to have something like that again? Like, you think they're going to be able to replicate the production of Caleb Johnson, and also I think Gronowski may be an upgrade. Like I'd say this honestly, I think Gronowski's going to be an upgrade over K McNamara. So I think the QB play is going to be a bit better for Iowa. But I think something else to look out for is like that Iowa offensive line. It's not the same as it was in years past. I always remember growing up, like in like the Nate Stanley, George Kittle era, like that era of Iowa football, like when they were in like the top, when they were one game away, one stop away from going to the college football playoff in 2015, and they're in the Big Ten title game against Michigan State. That's what I remember. Is like the offensive line was so good, and so were the tight ends. Now, Luke Lachey was a solid tight end last year, but he wasn't like he didn't give as big of an impact as like I thought he would in the Cyhawk game, which was I was surprised about. But
Yeah, I thought he'd be way more involved, and we'll see if I believe that they're starting tight end now is Addison Ostrenga,
mm-hmm.
so we'll see what he does in this game.
Yeah,
So this game is always a hard game.
yeah.
Um,
And it's not just
honest,
a scheme, but also like just a lot of like pomp and circumstance in it. Because if you think about it, yes, Iowa State has won 2 of the last 3 style games, but this game, but Iowa State has not been able to win the style game at Jack Trice Stadium since 2011 in that triple overtime bonanza. So Iowa fans want to continue doing that. They want to continue spoiling that like fact. They want to keep pushing that fact, but you're Iowa State, you want to be able to like say like, hey, yes, we can win this game on our home turf. Like we're done being embarrassed on our home stadium. Like I think that's the message that I need to see out of the Cyclones come Cyhawk.
I agree. Yeah, this is gonna be a Michael Jordan moment, and I took it personal. Like
Yeah.
it's got to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, the week after that, we are on the road. I'm in Jonesboro as we play Arkansas State. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I mean, this is just one of those like home and home games. It's like fan base is pretty divided on this one. Like, what are your thoughts? Like teams like Iowa State doing like the home and homes like these like group of 5 and like these like group of 5 schools.
I don't think we should do it. I don't really see a point in doing it. Team should come to us, or we should maybe. I feel like we should look for a Power Five partner because
Yeah.
I know one. Let's say maybe like another Big Ten, maybe like
Yeah,
I
like
know
maybe like
when
a
I was.
historical one. Like, would you say like Nebraska possibly?
Hey, maybe Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, either one
Yeah.
of those.
I would love to take on Nebraska because after all the talk from Matt Rule, I would love nothing more than to maybe walk into Memorial Stadium and shut up Matt Rule and see how salty he gets having a handshake with Matt Campbell again.
That'd be nice. The massive hate triangle that would ensue.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love that.
It'd just be a war zone. Like it'd be a war zone on like I-80, I think, because like I think all the schools like have like some sort of connection to I-80.
Yeah, all the schools are based off of I-80.
Well, I'd say Iowa State's more like I-35, but
right.
But yeah, you can get to I-80 from Iowa State. Yeah, you just go down 35, like I see. But yeah, that's just crazy. Like you know how like you have like the North Carolina, Duke, and then like they have the Tobacco Road or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I could see something like that with this like road like with this like stretch between Iowa City and Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh yeah. Nah, man,
Yeah.
it's just something that we should probably explore, and then probably will in the main future.
Yeah.
Now there is one trip that I'm thinking about going to, and
Yeah.
that one is I believe that's Tulane in 2029, where
Ooh.
that game is in New Orleans. I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, I am there.
Tyler,
So
you're going down to the Bayou.
I'm going down to the Bayou, bro. You coming with me too? So
You know what? Hey, let's see how my job does. If I'm somehow in the area at that time, who knows? I might be in Houston, so
good
we'll
point.
see.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, and then right after this, they're going into the bye week. I know, like when we first when this first schedule release came out, we did like the timing of these bye weeks. Sort of wish that the bye week was a little bit earlier, but hey, after 4 games, like this, I think this 4 game stretch right here is really going to show you where you're at as a team. For me, I know I said we're not doing like any schedule predictions, but I think at least you want to come out of this at least 3-1 or 4-0.
Heading into like your
The
regular
bye week.
comp, yeah, heading to bye week, yeah, that would definitely like tell you that like you are definitely in contention. Because I mean, you look here, what I notice is like you're also avoiding Texas Tech, so I think that's a good thing for Iowa State. But at the same time, you do have to deal with Arizona State and BYU. So you got that, and then Kansas, you know, is just gonna like they're up your ass. But yeah, I would say I think if we're 3-1, if there was a game, I think you're in a good spot. I think I would ideally like 4-0, so that way you still have a little bit of room in case you do slip up somewhere, whether it's BYU or Arizona State or Kansas.
Exactly. Like you want to win these first 4 games, because then you'll be sitting pretty in the standings, and then that way, yeah, you can afford yourself a few blunders. But yeah, we have this bye week, and then we come back up, and then our conference home opener against Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I got to see what like Arizona's going to be able to do. Like coming off of what was I'd say a disappointing year for them. I mean, they were expected to be like one of the like in the top half, but they ended up 4-8 in the year, and just nothing was like outside of Tedoroa McMillan, Noah Fafita, that duo. What did Arizona have?
They had absolutely nothing. But like I know, like for me, I think, man, like what is even gonna be like? I wonder if Arizona like starts off like for like this could possibly be a tarmac game for Brent Brennan, because I mean I know last year there were some whispers of possibly him getting rid of him after the first year, especially after all the expectations and everything, and then just fall
Yeah,
flat at 4-8. Yeah, it's just that's ridiculous.
yeah. And I mean, for Arizona, like actually for Arizona, so their first 3 games are against Hawaii, against Weber State, and then they host Kansas State for Friday Night Lights. So
Interesting.
yeah, so they have Friday Night Lights against Kansas State before traveling to Ames 2 weeks later. So they'll have a bye week sandwich between Kansas State and Iowa State.
Okay, that is interesting. So they probably should at least win at least 2 of those games.
Yeah, 2-1
I'm
will
not,
like you can't drop Hawaii or Weber State. Kansas State you'll
yeah.
probably be okay dropping because it's like yeah.
I don't know because if we beat K State, K State is going to be desperate. And remember, they're playing that game at night in Tucson on a Friday
Oh
night.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's going to be a crucial gut check game for K State. Uh, um, and then the next week, I'm going to be going to this one. Um, we are on the road at Cincinnati.
Hmm.
Cincinnati, it was a little bit of a tough game there. Um, so
Yeah.
it's going to be another fun matchup with Tyson Vite.
Yeah. And I wonder like how Cincinnati is like going into this one because I mean, I don't. It's like because this is what Cincinnati's going to have like before they face us. So they're going to be taking on Nebraska Thursday, August 28th at Arrowhead. Then they'll host Bowling Green, Northwestern State, and then travel to Lawrence, Kansas, to take on the Jayhawks. So what are you looking at for Cincinnati in that 4-game stretch?
Wait, say that again. What's our 4 game stretch again? My bad.
Nebraska,
Nebraska.
let's Bowling Green,
Okay.
Northwestern State,
Yep.
and then at Kansas.
I mean, at worst, they're probably going to be 2-2, but I have a feeling they're going to be 3-1. I actually think they're going to beat Nebraska.
I could see that. Yeah, they could find a way to beat Nebraska.
And it's interesting because originally this game was supposed to be in Indianapolis, so this would have been a much more pro Cincinnati crowd. But now this has basically become a home game for Nebraska, so should be interesting to see how that develops. And
Hmm.
then the week after that, we are on the road again, and this time in Boulder, um, against Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes.
Hmm.
Um, this is gonna be interesting to me because I think this is probably the Big 12 team that we least know about in Colorado.
Yeah.
Now that like a lot of people are interested to see how the Buffs are gonna do post Shadur and post Travis Hunter.
Hmm.
I think this is gonna be a good matchup for Iowa State.
Yeah. And I mean, looking like to before that game for Colorado, they play against so they host Georgia Tech and Delaware for non-cons. Then they travel to Houston to take on the Cougars. Uh,
Ooh,
yep. Then they'll host Wyoming, and then host the BYU, and then head to Fort Worth to take on TCU. So, looking at the schedule here, I mean, the big test for Colorado is going to definitely be BYU. I think the BYU game for Iowa State fans is going to be like key to see where Colorado's at. So, I'd say until they play BYU, I would like not chalk anything like for sure when scouting Colorado.
you got to watch out for that Houston game. That Houston game is sneaky. That game is on a Friday night too in
Oh,
TDECU.
that's true. Yeah,
So watch
and I
out
mean,
for that Colorado or that Houston game.
yeah, and who knows? Maybe Willie Fritz might. I mean, Willie Fritz could potentially like do what he did. Was it Tulane?
Yeah, with Connor Wigman at the helm now, like he transferred in from A&M, so
All
it's
right.
gonna
I
be
mean,
interesting.
that the Houston and BYU games are definitely going to be keys.
Yeah, it's key performance indicator, and then after this 3 game stretch, we go on another bye week. So this was another nicely placed bye week, and then we get it back rolling. Homecoming against BYU.
Yeah. BYU 2 years ago, Iowa State went into Lavelle Edwards Stadium. They heralded a night game at Lavelle Edwards, and I mean Iowa State was able to just absolutely wipe the floor
Yep,
with
45-13.
yeah. It was a really good game. It was a pretty good game for Abu Sama. I remember, yeah, that was one of his better games in his career.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be a definite vibes check
Yeah,
because I mean you think about this schedule. We're what this would be our 8th game, so
yeah,
we could either come into this game 6-1 or 7-0.
yeah.
Uh,
That could
like
be
last
possible.
year.
Yeah, and I mean for BYU, there's a like I mean the week before they traveled to Ames to take on Iowa State. They have the Holy War at Lavelle. They have the Holy War. They host the Holy War,
Oh man.
and that's their homecoming too. So it's like emotions are going to be high that week. So who
Oh
knows? Like
man.
yeah. So who knows how BYU is going to be feeling coming off the Holy War?
I'm not gonna lie. This is the perfect letdown game for BYU. I forgot that Holy War was right before they play. They come to Ames. Oh
Yeah,
man.
and I mean it's a thing for like them, like, and who knows? Maybe what happens if Iowa State turns like they play the night game card on BYU?
Mm.
Because if I remember last year, Iowa State they won all their games that were kicked off at like what was it like 6 p.m. or later.
Because we had like three of those games. We won all of them, like
Yeah,
pretty comfortably.
yeah, because it was
So
Baylor, it was Cincinnati, and then Kansas State were all or night games. Texas
hey,
Tech was
look,
close to being one, but that kicked off at 5:30, so we avoided that.
yeah, that wait, the Texas Tech game?
Yeah, I think that kicked off earlier.
Yeah, that Tech game was at 2:30. I was at
Oh
a
yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah, it was 2:30.
yeah, that was homecoming. Unfortunately, I was at a wedding that weekend, so I wasn't able to go.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, BYU is definitely gonna be interesting. There's gonna be a lot of people um, from the church that are gonna be there, so it's gonna be interesting. But man, this matchup right here, man, the next week, this is one that I am gonna be circling. Like
yeah. Circle
Arizona
this on the
State,
calendar.
you circle this on the calendar, y'all. Arizona State, as you know, y'all know that Arizona State put belt to ass to us,
Mm-hmm.
um, and Arizona State knows that. But and look, Rocco has even said that this is a game that he's circled. So you already know that Iowa State's going to be like Ames is going to be hopping for this game.
Yeah, and then obviously you have the story of like Kenny Dillingham and Matt Campbell, because I mean, I think they mentioned
Mm-hmm.
it like in the promo, like leading up to the Big 12 title game, that Kenny Dillingham was in the building, like he was at one of Matt Campbell's like what was it, coaching sessions or something like that. So he learned quite a bit
Well,
about like,
he went to go shadow. I think believe he went to go shadow a team, and he came to Ames for a summer.
oh yeah. So I mean, you probably have that relation, and I mean the way like both Kenny Dillingham and Matt Campbell like are in the media, they really are similar coaches. So there are a lot of similarities with us in Arizona State.
Yeah, if anything, I want this one.
Yeah, I think I want this one to just be like just high power like fireworks all over the place. Obviously, I want Iowa State to win to get their measure of revenge. But man, I think this game should. This is going to be entertaining. It's going to be Rocco and his wide receivers versus Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson.
No, definitely, man. And then we'll see what they have in their run game with
The loss of Cam
depart.
Scatterboo.
Yep, loss of Cam Scatterboo. I know they got a nice. They got the former Army running back, so that should be interesting to see how he fares in this offense.
Yeah,
And then after that, I also think that TCU is a dark horse to be a contender in the Big 12. So I actually think that this TCU game could actually mean something for Iowa State.
hmm yeah. It's very like I got to look at like TCU because like obviously with Sonny Dykes, I wonder how like they're like going to be able to like obviously went to the national championship a couple years ago, had a down year, and then I think they rebounded with us okay year with Josh Hoover at the helm. So I'm really curious to see how like Josh Hoover like develops and like who's like going to be the main weapons for
Yeah.
Josh Hoover to go to.
Yeah. And their defense will be a lot better too. But you already know that the DFW contingent of Iowa State fans are going to be in M&G Carter Stadium. So I'm really
Yeah,
excited for that one.
yeah,
And then after this 3 game stretch, this will be the final bye week of the year. And as we finish the last 2 games against Kansas, Cody, Kansas has had a number the last 3 times we've played them,
yeah.
and this is also going to be Senior Day, so much more important for our seniors, and we have to end this skid against KU.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. The first year it was just because like it was our 22 year where unfortunately we couldn't make it a field goal to save our lives, which was crazy. We only lost the game by 1. And
Well,
then the
not
next year at Jack Tri Stadium, Jalen Noel got robbed of what would have been a walk-in touchdown that could
Mhm.
have sent the game. That could have changed the game. And then obviously you had Kansas deciding between us, BYU, and Colorado to be like, all right, let's just ruin the Big 12 as a whole.
Yeah, and not to mention in 2022, there were a few instances in that game where X had some touchdowns that he had but were dropped. There were so many memorable drops in that game. It was insane.
No, it's just it was painful. You hate to see that. It's like your bet, like it's just unfortunate when you have like one of your your best receiver on the team, but he just isn't able to make the plays. It's just like that's just like I don't know. It was just one of those games where like nothing was going right, even for your best weapon, nothing was going right.
Yeah, that and then just that was the entire season. Because remember that game, the Texas game, where he had it in his hands and he was wide open and he dropped out, like the Oklahoma State game that year where they could have went in for the go ahead touchdown and we were actually leading that entire game and then that yeah, it's just
Yeah,
I don't even want to talk about that. But
yeah.
like
I think
it's yeah.
yeah, that was just like just coming back down to earth after like what was that? But I mean, here we are now.
Yep, here we are now and then this last game of the year against Oklahoma State. I mean, I feel like for Iowa State, this is going to be a game or somewhere. This basically Iowa State will know what they have to do, and if they're still in contention, which we both think they will be at this point, that this game will be important. But obviously, as you know, in the last few months and then the last few years, Oklahoma, the role reversal has been crazy because we used to be the team that used to ruin their season, and now the Cowboys have a chance to ruin Iowa State's season.
Yeah, so it's like there Oklahoma State. If it's like if you think we're at whether Iowa State's like a one loss, like if Iowa State's a one loss team walking into Stillwater, and Oklahoma State is like, I mean, it's either Oklahoma State's gonna rebound from what was last year and maybe be a better team, or they're gonna be like they were last year and looking for somebody to like spoil. So
Nah, bro, definitely. I think that's really the thing, and that's the schedule right there for you. I think one thing that we're going to talk about before we end the show today is like what would warrant a successful season?
I think if we're able to make the Big 12 title game and win it, that would be great. Making the college football playoff too. I gotta see us like maybe take that next step because you know it's there. People are thinking that it's gonna be another down. It's gonna be a down year for us, but I think that's where we thrive best when people like keep us under the radar. So just keep us.
Yeah, that's true. I will say though, at some point though, yes, we do thrive as the underdog, but we have to start embracing ourselves as a favorite though, because like as good as we are as an underdog, like you saw in 2021 when we were the hunted, we couldn't handle being hunted.
Yeah, but now
Like
you have.
right,
Yeah, that's true. But now Matt Campbell as a coach, he knows what it's like to have a team fully prepared, and I think the difference between that 21 team and this year's team is like that 21 team, it was upperclassmen. They were capped skill wise. I think for Rocco and the company that he has now, there's still room to grow for like them. There's still room for
and they
this
yeah,
football team to grow. So I think that's
I
the
agree, man.
difference. Yeah, I think that's the difference. That's the key difference between those two teams. Like this football team, this edition of it has room to grow, and I think you're
That
going to see it
yeah.
throughout the year.
Yeah, that and then a lot of these big games. I think you're going to see the maturation process of Rocco Becht. Um, I think for me, what warrants a good season, at least wins wise, would probably at least be 9 to 10 games. Because I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like even I know a lot of people will say 8-4, depending on how it looks. For me, I think 8-4 would be a disappointment,
I'd
and it
agree.
tells you how far we've come as a program by saying that 8-4 is disappointment. But after you taste the success of finally winning double digit games, like expectations go up. So I mean, I expect this team to be right there at the end. Obviously, we have to see what happens and see how they execute it. All
Mhm.
right. And with that, uh, this will be the end of today's show. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Believe in Iowa State podcast. We have a few things to say before we go. Thank you, FeedSpot, for nominating us as a top 15 sports podcast in the state of Iowa. Thank you, state of Iowa listeners. Thank you, everyone who listens. You sickos, we love you. To find us on Twitter, Cody can be found at Matt Campbell Impersonator. I can be found at Side Tie Guy. And join us now on our sixth forms of social media. So here they are. We have Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm missing one.
Okay. Did you already say Twitch? Yeah, you already said Twitch. So
I said Twitch. I said Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. There we go.
yeah, there we go.
And there we go. So for Tyler Carter,
And for Cody Vanciello,
this is the Believe in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
let's go State.